Now, here's how this impacts our state and the communities you live in. The University of Texas says at any given time, 79,000 girls are being sold for sex right here in Texas. CBS 19's Taylor DeHay spoke with the state's Attorney General's office about the problem it's calling unacceptable.
Kirsten Melton leads the Attorney General's Human Trafficking Unit. She says the thought of American girls being sold for sex is unfathomable to many, but it's time we face the facts.
We have people who are willing to buy and sell children for sex on a daily basis, who view them as nothing more than a couch or a used iPod or a bike.
There's a big misconception about sex trafficking. It's something that Kirsten Melton wants to clear up. Melton is a career prosecutor leading the state's Human Trafficking Unit. She says while most people think trafficking involves traveling, it can happen anywhere.
American citizens selling American children to other American citizens for sex.
This probably comes as no surprise to you, but there's a demand for sex in the U.S. And where there is a demand, there's trafficking.
Where you have buyers, you have sellers.
While the buyers come from different economic backgrounds, races, and ages, Melton says there's one thing that's typically always the same.
They're typically men.
Melton believes the demand comes from a normalization of buying sex.
20 years ago, if you wanted to purchase pornography, it was going to be behind a brown wrapper in your 7-Eleven. Now you can get on your phone.
While trafficking is happening more than you think, researchers didn't have the numbers to back that up until now.
We wanted to come up with that number, that total number, that broad look.
Dixie Hairston is a researcher at the University of Texas School of Social Work who had one question.
Can we come up with a credible number of potential and actual victims in the state of Texas?
Researchers at UT and their partners from Allies Against Slavery found at any given time there are 79,000 girls being sold for sex. Girls meaning anyone under the age of 25.
Someone that's 25 may be considered an adult victim of sex trafficking, but in fact they have been experiencing that victimization since they were 16, 17, oftentimes very much younger than that.
Melton says most girls are being sold as young as 15.
Many of our kids are growing up with the idea that their usefulness, their worth, sits in their sexuality.
So how did researchers at UT come up with that magic number? They made a list of human trafficking cases in Texas reported to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. They also spoke with victims and looked at criminal justice data from across the state.
We went out into the community, we talked to service providers.
Getting that number is just the beginning. Researchers want to take a deep dive into communities like Harris County, Lubbock County, and the Rio Grande Valley. While both women agree the numbers aren't new, they say now victims are coming forward, making it easier to keep up with them.
We have had people willing to purchase sex and people willing to purchase sex from children for a very long time. But it hasn't been called out as what it really is, which is modern day slavery.
Coming up next, the reality of girls being sold for sex in East Texas. Experts say it's happening right here to hundreds of girls, and it's easy to miss.